Welcome to this episode of Our College of Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. The first week of February, the Office of Information Technology team, or OIT team, as I'm sure we'll refer to them in the meeting today, transitioned to a new system called Servicenow. This transition allowed the college to adopt the service portal, among other features. The shift to Servicenow is Ivy Tech's first step into bringing robust service management technologies to support our commitment to providing a high level of customer service and experience for our students and staff. This shift will allow us to leverage best-in-class automation, knowledge management, support best practices, and robust analytics to ensure that our support team is always one step ahead. I'm excited to have two members of our Office of Information Technology team here with me to talk about it. Let's meet them. First up is Ryan Blastic. Hey, Ryan.
Good afternoon.
Tell us a little bit about what you do here for Ivy Tech.
So I'm the Assistant Vice President of Shared Services. I've been with the college it'll be 10 years this September. The first 5 years when I arrived at Ivy Tech, I was the telecom and network manager. And then the past 5 years on the shared services. So supporting the campuses and their technology and their projects.
Excellent. And our other guest is Phil Kendrick. Hi, Phil.
Hello.
Tell us a little bit about what you do for Ivy Tech.
Sure. So I am the Servicenow Architect. I started with Ivy Tech December of 2020. So I'm a little bit shorter term than Ryan. Basically, my job is to ensure that as we continue to build out ServiceNow, that we align it to system best practices, don't make any decisions that would preclude us from being able to continue to grow the technology, and then offer some best practice consulting to shared services, development teams, et cetera.
Excellent. So let's dive into the questions about ServiceNow and the service portal. So ServiceNow, at least as we launched it, am I correct? It basically replaced the help desk. So people who used to use the old help desk or was that the HIM system, Ryan?
It was RT.
RT.
Tracker. Yeah.
That's right. You got to be here a really long time to remember the HIM system. That was even older than that.
I remember HIM.
Yes. But what does the technology selection in ServiceNow do to advance our support practices that those old tools wouldn't do?
Sure. So ServiceNow actually goes beyond just taking a ticket. The product itself is built around workflow and workflow automation. So what that means is that we can go beyond just a ticket being created and going to an assignment group, and then they pick it up and start asking questions, et cetera. On predefined workflows, we can actually automatically engage multiple teams, multiple systems. We can have it automatically make changes, automatically actually take action. So it can pull a lot of manual processes out of the experience and make it a faster speed to resolution, as we call it, or a faster way for end users to get help. Ultimately, the goal is also in what we call case deflection. So what that means is that we are empowering our end users to explore the product and get answers on their own. So I know I personally don't always want help from a caseworker. Sometimes I just want to be able to go in and get an answer. So ServiceNow has done a really good job of tightly coupling all of its ticket management into its knowledge management. So what that means is that let's say I'm creating a ticket and I'm typing something in, it can automatically offer some options to me through knowledge-based articles or other type of workflow items to self-help. So I can kind of get myself moving in the direction that I want to go. And then ultimately, the next piece of that gets into a robust AI that it has machine learning. We can program it and build it out to do guided workflows where you could be interacting with ServiceNow and actually following step guides, and it will guide you through it. And ultimately, in that end, you can get help, but also kind of do it on your own. So that's a piece of the product we're super excited about.
So let me ask you a couple of more specific questions about that, just to make sure I understand what you just said in layman's terms. So like that first part, so the other day I wanted to access LinkedIn Learning and I couldn't remember like where it was. So when ServiceNow is all up to speed, I might be able to go to ServiceNow, type in LinkedIn Learning, and a list of questions might come up. And one of them might be, how do I access LinkedIn Learning? Which was my question. Is that the kind of thing that ServiceNow can do?
Absolutely. Yes, okay. Absolutely. And so you kind of touched into the really robust search options within ServiceNow. So when you get into a search window in ServiceNow and you type something in it, it's like typing it into Google essentially. mean, obviously the content has to exist in ServiceNow for it to be aware, but yeah, it can absolutely do that. So you type in LinkedIn Learning and it'll offer numerous articles around LinkedIn Learning, should that content exist in the product.
Okay. And then for that second part, that AI piece, let me just use a weird example. So like I can never remember the steps for creating a shortcut in Google Drive to like another folder in Google Drive. Okay. So it might, like if I typed in create a shortcut in Google Drive, it might like walk me through the steps, or is it something different from that? Because I feel like it's different.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. So like, I'll give you a real world example of it. So ServiceNow actually uses their own product, which is great. But when I type in my password wrong on ServiceNow, a little window pops up that says, I see you're having issues with your password. Would you like to reset it? And I can say yes. And then it will say, okay, click here and we'll walk you through resetting your password. Then it actually says, enter your email here. We'll send you a password reset, things like that.
Awesome.
So it would be comparable to that. It really will feel like a chat interaction. So okay. It would be maybe a bubble that pops up that says, how can we help you today? And you type in what it is you're looking for, and it could key into some of these built-in workflows that says, oh, excellent. Let's walk you through the process. And it would be much like a chat.
Awesome. I love stuff like that. I know other people don't always love it as much, but I think it's super helpful when that kind of stuff exists.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that's the big piece of ServiceNow and kind of how we Ivy Tech are trying to roll this out is we want you to be able to get help or get information in a way that makes sense for you. So for some people, it's going to be chatbot. For other people, it's going to be calling Ivy Line. For some people, it's going to be knowledge-based articles. And others, it's just going to be, I'm going to log a case and I'm going to walk away and you can reach out to me whenever you're ready. And so we really want to support all those workflows for users so that they can really interact with us, how it works for them.
Eventually, we'll want to get to that point with ServiceNow where we have like that chatbot, that virtual agent off to the side where they can ask questions. It's going to take us time as a college as a whole to build out the knowledge bases for each of the different department areas so that we have that foundation there for those chatbots to work efficiently. But I think the biggest thing that we've seen so far at the launch is our staff, students, the faculty being self-served, right? Being able to have that knowledge base for them to go search their problems first without even, like Phil mentioned, the deflection of not even having to open up a case or a ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is awesome because nothing frustrates me more like if I'm, and I don't think Ivy Tech does this, but if I'm on a website and I need to reset my password, for example, and then I have to know to go somewhere else to do that, and then I have to wait, that just frustrates me because I want to finish what I'm doing. So we've talked about several things that probably set ServiceNow apart from other technologies, but can you tell me a little bit more about why ServiceNow? What set it apart?
ServiceNow has shown that they are really invested in continuing to grow their platform. So there's a concept even here at Ivy Tech that we buy into. It's called continual service improvement. And ServiceNow is a huge advocate of this. And their goal is to really provide a seamless, robust user experience, regardless of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? So they have robust integrations into HR applications, into learning applications, things like that. So that integration opportunity that they have, that they really do, they do a lot of the legwork for us. They provide a piece of technology called Integration Hub. Don't want to get into the weeds on that, but basically what it means is that they make it very, very easy for us that as we continue to grow technology outside of ServiceNow, we can hook it into the platform and then we can maintain one user experience. So I personally, I don't enjoy having to go to 6 different applications to do something. And then I get 6 different experiences. Like the colors are different. The icons are in different places. Like for me, I sat down at a Mac once and tried to close a window and I was totally lost. What is happening? The X is on the left, not the right. This is not right. So we want to avoid that. When you're interacting with Ivy Tech, whether it be IT or advising or whomever, wherever you're trying to interact with IT, it's one user experience, right? So once you get into our system, we want to integrate into these other systems and keep you in an experience that's familiar so that you're not relearning every time Ivy Tech has a new piece of app technology rolled out. And in the short time that I've been here, something I've noticed that we have a ton of technology that we're rolling out. And Ivy Tech is doing an awesome job of investing in best-in-class software out there. And by doing that with ServiceNow, we can ensure that as we continue to bring these in, you're not relearning every time. And it's easy to just continue to adopt this technology, which helps Ivy Tech scale really quickly.
So where am I interacting with ServiceNow today?
Sure. So when you go to helpdesk.ivytech.edu, that's when you get into ServiceNow. So you land on what is called the service portal, the consumer service portal, and that has hooks into some knowledge base. It has different categories to go get help. But once you click that helpdesk.ivytech.edu out of my Ivy, a lot of people get there that way, or if you haven't favorited, that's when you hit ServiceNow. It'll greet you with a welcome screen, hello, Phil. Then you can go get help or do whatever you need to do.
Excellent. And so I happen to know, because I think we have another episode already scheduled to record about this, but I happen to know we have some future plans for ServiceNow as well. So what's also on the horizon for ServiceNow?
So something we're very, very excited about is My Ivy. So My Ivy is being shifted to ServiceNow. This project is in flight. We are currently hard hats on, as our partner puts it, but we made the decision to pick up My Ivy and shift it over to ServiceNow to start kind of leveraging some of these robust platform capabilities, specifically the search. We've heard a lot of feedback that, My Ivy, there are literally hundreds of links to click on in My Ivy, and it is not searchable. And ServiceNow is. It is very searchable. So that's something we're super excited about and really helped kind of sway this decision that by, again, going back to that conversation I had about once we get you into our user experience, we want to keep you there. So that's kind of a big reason why My Ivy is coming this way. So at the start, it's going to be My Ivy. You're going to recognize it, very comfortable it is now, but then it's going to grow. And we're really going to use it to become a very actionable tool. And ServiceNow is going to allow us to do that.
I have another question for you. You might have already gotten there, but I'd love for you to talk about sort of what is possible. I love, as most people know, I love new technology. I want to leverage it as much as we can to do as much of the one-off tasks for us so that we can actually focus on having conversations with each other and doing meaningful work together. But now that we're on ServiceNow, what is next? What's our next step?
The next thing is really going to be to kind of really start growing it out. So the hard part, getting this thing into production and getting to where we're starting to use it, the platform itself is just so massive that you got to take it one piece at a time, and you have to really be very thoughtful in how you do it. So our next focus, especially once we get My Ivy delivered, our next focus is really going to be start leveraging that workflow automation, right? So identifying where there's repeatable processes throughout Ivy Tech that have predictable workflows that we can then build out into ServiceNow. So then when you come into My Ivy, you can click a button, fill out a form, and then it just goes and it does it, whether it be software requests. And hypothetically speaking, I can give you an example of what I mean. I wanted Visio. When I started here, the big part of my job is helping people with workflows. And in order to do that, I have to be able to visualize them. And I've used Visio. So I was like, I really need Visio. Ryan, what do I do? Well, go request this here, you get Visio. ServiceNow, the intent would be if you need Visio, you click on Visio, and end state would be you fill out the form, you submit it. It's a licensed product, so there's an approval piece there, goes off for approval, gets approved. Without you doing anything, it gets installed on your computer. You don't have to wait for a schedule. You don't have to go download it from Software Center or anything like that. It just, boom, it's done. And all you did was fill out a form. There was things that happened behind the scenes, certainly approvals, we have to control costs and make sure that those types of things are happening. So we go through an approval process, but then it's there. Within that workflow can take, as fast as somebody can approve it, it can be done. So that's an example, but that's really, there'll be a lot of manual stuff, right? Where we'll fire off a workflow. Like right now I've got marketing is joining us on the ServiceNow platform. We're building out something for them that'll be workflow driven. We're building out something with Ivy Cares. We're going to solve a problem for them it'll be a 3 or 4 step workflow, but it's a 3 or 4 step workflow every time. So it's something that we can easily predict and build out. And for the end user experience, it's one simple form with 5 fields on it, and then the rest just happens.
And
That's
I think
awesome.
for our end users, this is a shift in the mindset for them as well, right? I think previously, prior to ServiceNow, everything came to IT or to a department as a ticket. And now we're trying to separate what is a true request, I need something, and what is a case or an incident, what is broken, right? And I think once they get that determination, I think a light bulb's going to come on, and it's going to help us with these workflows and these automated processes once we get that distinction in place.
Yeah, and Ryan, I think that's a great point, because something that we really haven't even talked about this, because we are really trying to keep a focus on the experience. This all ties into really advanced service management practices, keeping systems running and ensuring that systems are available for users when they need it. Stable, reliable, and secure. That's something that's been rattled in my brain for years. And a piece of that is by segmenting out this data to what Ryan's talking about, requests versus something's really broken, we can start getting ahead of outages, right? So when we see, our intent is to have these saved, so systems don't go down anymore, right? We have a big dashboard, and we're really getting into some IT kind of exciting stuff here, where we have a dashboard that turns really big and red when an alert happens, and we can act, and ServiceNow helps us do all that. It puts it all into one user experience even for us and the technology team. And really the core focus is just providing the best level of support that we can.
And I assume, having been on the IT side of things for part of my career and worked some of the biggest service outages in the college's history, I would assume that as those tickets start to come in to make you go, oh, we have a problem here, that it might group all those together and sort of capture them and go, yeah, IT is aware of it. But then when it ends, it closes all those tickets automatically and takes care of all that. Now that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and it's actually called a problem. It's funny,
awesome.
But in ServiceNow, that record is called a problem. When you have
that's awesome.
Or a major outage, there's a couple different ways to look at it. So yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Cool. Anything else you guys want to get in the episode today?
I'm very excited about the new MyIV. I think that's going to really put things in perspective. It's really going to put the ServiceNow platform in the forefront.
Having just spent probably 25 minutes earlier this morning looking for something in my IV, I'm equally as excited. I did finally find it, but I had to remember what tab it was under and who it was for. And
I think that was the number one requirement from Matt Atchison, was make sure it's searchable. We're got it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's hyper searchable, which we're super excited about. We could spend another 30 minutes talking about my IV, but to continue on Ryan's point, what I'm most excited about with my IV is that we're going to turn it from just a hub of this consolidation of links that sends you out to other tools to do stuff, and we're really going to start bringing stuff native to the platform and make it a tool that is actionable. And that, for me, that's my ultimate dream for my IV, is that it is an intranet, and it will link you to other systems. It's going to have to. That just is what it is. But the more we can get where MyIV is doing it for you, or at the very least, it's a form you can submit on MyIV, or a process you can start there and less bounce between three, four systems to get something done. That's my ultimate goal.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that too. And the amount of mental energy that I think I burn every week in remembering, okay, you go here to do this, and you go here to do that, you go here to do this. If all I have to do is go in and search for something, that just clears up so much.
Yeah, or click your favorites page.
Or you just look at your favorite. It's always
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait.
Cool.
I can't wait. Cool. All right. So we end every episode with a call to action. We could keep nerding out for a long time, but we'll stop and let other people get on with their lives. So our call to action today, as ServiceNow continues to evolve, we encourage everybody on the Ivy Tech team to be on the lookout for additional communication. We'll be actively communicating on the process, and we look forward to bringing forward growth to you. And I want to encourage everybody, if you have not gone to helpdesk.ivytech.edu, go there and try things out. I know the Ivy Learn team has built a lot of information in there already, and I know the IT team has as well. So make sure you go there, try out the search, and see how that goes. We'll include links to that in the show notes. Thanks for joining this episode of Our College of Voices. I want to thank the members of today's panel, Ryan Blastic, Assistant Vice President of Shared Services and Systems Office, and Phil Kendrick, Servicenow Architect in Systems Office. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at KNM Tweets. Our producer is Sarah Ferguson. You can reach us by email at ourcollegeofvoices@ivytech.edu. Don't forget, if you're an Ivy Tech faculty or staff member, you can join our Microsoft Teams listener community. Instructions on that come out every Thursday. Our website, where you'll find links to our show notes, is ivytech.edu/podcast. Production assistance for this and every episode provided by Becky Campbell and the Ivy Tech Community College Creative Services team, and our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Theme music and post-production services provided by Jen Eanes at the Brassy Broadcasting Company. We will talk to you next time on Our College, Your Voices.